Before we get started, a programming announcement. Livestream is going on the first round of the NFL draft. Now, we're going to fire it up about 5 p.m. Central Time, and we're mainly going to do the live stream just so the live chat can go up, because the drones live chat really is something to behold. We won't be streaming the entire time. Like, this ain't going to be like a Twitch stream all up in here, but we'll chime in every now and then. We'll be like, the Cowboys did what? How did the Jaguars mess that up? And also, you'll be able to watch the pick profiles for the Vikings as we record them. You can watch that live. So come join the fun. You can just check it out on the channel. It'll pop up. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't be a jerk. And then join all the Jeromes during the first round of the NFL draft. Boom. It's finally here. It's finally draft day, and just wanted to close out this whole draft season talk. And by the way, thank you, Jerome, so much for coming along, all the analysis, all the mock drafts, 97.5. It really is a lot of fun, because it really is like Christmas. It's like Christmas if you get to project your Christmas gifts. It's amazing, right? Oh, here's my Christmas gift big board. Boom, there it is. But just wanted to throw together really loose, sort of just random tidbit thoughts video on the draft to just sort of empty out the head, which should be pretty easy. Yeah. So at the top, so Joe Burrow. I mean, it's clear that he's number one with a bullet. I think he is legit Joe Cool, and you do love the way that he has just this amazing quiet leadership about him, as well as amazingly accurate, very quick dissecting coverages and plays and whatnot. And I mean, more people worry about the arm strength than I do. Like, frankly, we've talked about on here that I don't find arm strength to be the be-all, end-all for quarterbacks. Like, accuracy much more important than arm strength. But once you get below a certain level, yes, it certainly does matter. So, like, I'm not going to be an NFL quarterback out there, although I am damn accurate. Yeah, especially run the sail routes. But I think that he makes a lot of sense for Cincinnati, and I think that Cincinnati, if they build a nice nucleus around him, it's nice that they get first-round pick Jonah Williams back. Remember him from back in the day. Would have loved if he would have fell 18 to the Vikings. Although, Jonah or Bradbury, it would have been Jonah. Sorry, Garrett. Yeah, that'd been rough. But yeah, Burrow, Cincinnati. They have, I mean, we remember Cincinnati for being the barren wasteland of like Jeff Blake and Achilles Smith and David Klingler and whatnot. But I mean, recently with Marvin Lewis gets hacked to pieces for the way that he performed since they never won a playoff game. But he took the Bengals to like 5 straight playoffs, which is completely unheard of on a shoestring budget, because they don't pay for scouts. They don't pay for support staff. They don't do all those things that you need to have people. Good people to have a functional organization. They never do it. So you're always behind the 8 ball. Then they're notoriously cheap with players. Mike Brown is just, he's the worst. He really, like, Paul Brown was the best. Mike Brown is the worst. But I mean, if Joe Burrow can go there and succeed, I mean, he's got Joe Mixon, he's got Tyler Boyd, he's got the corpse of AJ Green on a franchise tag for some reason. So Zach Taylor does seem like an up and coming offensive mind. Okay. 2, I would take a shot on Tua. Yes, the ankle injuries worry you. Yes, the all the various nicks and bruises, but also the hip. I mean, teams that were potentially in on Tua got the hip check long before the Rona took over, so they'll have a good idea of where he is physically. But for me, if Tua was completely healthy, I think I may take him over Burrow. Like, if he didn't have the hip issue at all, finish out his final season at Alabama strong, just because throughout his time at Alabama, like when he came in the national title game as a true freshman and just dropped dimes, like he has such big cojones. And yes, Burrow in the national title game before, but I mean, it's one thing when you're a redshirt senior. It's another thing when you are a true freshman, just cropping in there cold at halftime and just dropping dimes. Yeah, so for me, I feel like Tua just has more of it. You do worry about durability issues, but I mean, the 2 quarterbacks at the top. I mean, Justin Herbert is fine. Super whip smart kid, has an amazing arm. Actually, really good mobility as well. I think he could turn into a mini tank. But for me, it's just Burrow and Tua up there at top. Then Jordan Love at 4. I mean, Jordan Love probably has the biggest boomer bust, widest variance of any of the quarterbacks out there. I think that if he goes to a spot where he can sit for a year or two would make a lot of sense. Or maybe Andy Reid should just like say, screw it. I'm going to turn this into a quarterback factory. So I'm going to take Jordan Love at the back end of the first round. And yeah, I do have Pat Mahomes. What up? I'm going to pay him $200 million. What up? But you saw what I did with like AJ Feely and Kevin Cobb in Philadelphia, where I'm just going to start building up this resume of quarterbacks that I'm just going to then ship off to other teams as a rookie deal expires or wraps up for draft picks. And that's how I'm going to roll. Yeah, because it ain't Matt Moore, even though Matt Moore kicks the Vikings' ass. Chase Young is Julius Peppers. Like, I honestly hope Washington doesn't overthink that too much, because just get the best edge rusher in the game. Yes, or in the draft. Yes, you do have Montez Sweat from last year. Yes, you do have Ryan Kerrigan, who's still around chilling. Yes, you do have Jonathan Allen. Yes, you do have a lot of really nice front seven pieces. But, I mean, BPA B. Plus, he's a local kid. He's from Maryland. So, I mean, go with the absolute local angle. I think kid is going to be an absolute star and really quick Pro Bowler, really quick All-Pro. I think he is probably the safest pick in the entire draft. Mekhi Becton, on the other hand, I think Mekhi Becton really could be a bust. Where we've talked about our concerns about him. The failed drug test doesn't really bother me that much, but it's more a symptom of a full-on disease where you do have discipline questions about him in general. So like you knew when we're not against smoking weed. We're all for it, especially for players doing that in place of like opioids and painkillers. But you knew when the test was going to be, and this is the biggest job interview of your life, and you still failed. That's rough, right? But also discipline issues in that, can he keep his weight down? Because thing with offensive linemen, especially guys that big, I mean, you are an absolute asset at 360. You are a full-on liability at 400. And guys that size gaining 40 pounds, like you can blink, and all of a sudden it's just on, right? So, I mean, back then, I fully understand, the combine metrics. It's amazing. All the bench press is pretty disappointing. But, tape don't lie, man. I mean, Becton at Louisville, even before all those metrics and measurables, like he was an interesting prospect, right? Maybe like day two. But all of a sudden, he shoots up to maybe the first offensive tackle off the board based on what he did in underwear? Nah. Like, there was not enough good tape on him to suggest that he should be the first tackle taken off the board. Above Tristan Wirfs, who, by the way, was a combine freak and has great tape. Above Andrew Thomas is probably the most NFL-ready left tackle in this entire draft. Above, Jedrick Wills as well, who has a lot of upside as well as is a physical freak. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. And there's talk, of like the backlash against the media people, where the NFL decision makers may see prospects a lot differently than the draftniks and draft Twitter and whatnot. Becton may be one of them. I mean, Becton might fall. He really might, just for all the reasons that we talked about. Jalen Hurts, I think, has a really nice chance to be a day two pickup, or has a chance to be a nice day two pickup. So there you go. Frankly, I think Hurts is a lot safer pick than Jordan Love. I understand why Jordan Love is being pressed up into the first round, a lot of projections, but Jordan Love might be another one of those picks too, where you see an overvalue in a consensus, in a bit of a groupthink. Maybe I'm guilty of that as well, even though I freaking love that kid. But I mean, so Jordan Love may fall a lot further than you think, and Jalen Hurts might be the pick at 23. Like, would it shock anyone at all if the Patriots, so in the market for a quarterback, Tom Brady gone, they got Jarrett Stidham, 4th-round pick from Auburn last year, whatever. But with Belichick and Saban going way back like chiroprac, Nick Saban has nothing but amazing things to say about Jalen Hurts, his character, his leadership, everything like that. He showed he's always had a great arm. He's a great athlete. Accuracy, it improved. He made quite a few NFL level throws last year at Oklahoma that I didn't see at Alabama. So I mean, if Belichick was like, all right, we're just gonna take Jalen Hurts and we're gonna go from there, it wouldn't shock me at all. I would not be floored by that whatsoever. Edge class. So beyond Chase Young, it's not really that great. A couple intriguing names late, like Travis Gibson from Tulsa, Alex Hightower from Charlotte, Derek Tutska from NDSU. But I really hope that the Vikings don't force it. Like you see everyone and the mother, mocking Epinesa or Gross Matos to the Vikings in the first round. I just don't see value there. Plus, everyone's sleeping on Afadio Denebo. Plus, everyone's sleeping on Everson potentially coming back as well. So I don't see it. But I would be intrigued more by Julian Okwara from Notre Dame, second round. Curtis Weaver, Boise State, second round. That would make a little bit more sense to me. But first round, don't force it. Unless Chase Young falls because a gas mask bong video came out. Actually, it might take 2, and he may have to murder like 3 guys. And then maybe he'll get to 22. That's how good Chase Young is. Deepest wide receiver class ever. I mean, I forget which outlet it was, but someone was talking about that they have 70 draftable grades on wide receivers, which, there's 256 picks, which is a third of them, or a little less than a third of them being wide receivers. Probably not. Probably could see 30 drafted, which would be a poop ton, like an absolute poop ton. And it's a lot like we've talked about before, where if the Vikings didn't go wide receiver in the first round, that is the position to do it. Like if they skip out on cornerback, they're going to have to make up a lot of ground on day 2 because there's a big drop off after round 3. Whereas offensive tackles, offensive line in general, if they skip out round 1, they really need to start hammering and get their poop together in round 2, round 3. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Whereas wide receiver, I mean, there's going to be wide receivers in rounds 4, 5, maybe even 6 that will be significant contributors the rookie season. So you're looking at guys like James Prochet, you're looking at Tyler Johnson, you're looking at Devin DuVernay, you're looking at Van Jefferson, etc. I mean, this is a really, really good wide receiver class from top to bottom. So, if one of the big names doesn't fall, I love Jalen Reagor. I love Brandon Ayuk. Do you necessarily force them in the first round? Maybe not. Or Pittman or T. Higgins. Do you just make that work at 25? You don't have to do it. You just don't, right? As well as, so the big 6'7" offensive tackles that we've talked about. So Andrew Thomas is my numero uno. Tristan Wirfs 2. Jedrick Wills 3. Josh Jones out of Houston 4, Ezra Cleveland 5. Jones and Cleveland is pretty close to me. You put Austin Jackson in there as well out of USC, super young, super raw, super whatever. You can throw Becton in there as well. I think it does behoove the Vikings to come away with one of those big 6.5. I would be least intrigued by Becton. Pretty met on Jackson, but it does seem like Thomas, Wirfs, and Wills will be out of range. Josh Jones potentially could go into the teens. Maybe he goes to Tampa Bay. That would make sense. But if the Vikings just want to take Ezra Cleveland in the first round, you're not going to get him at 58. You probably would have to maneuver, get to the top of the second if you want to get him. But perfect scheme fit. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Would absolutely love for him to come in and pair up with Brian O'Neill. But also, if you miss the boat on offensive tackle, so say you decide to go a different direction, Ezra Cleveland goes in 34, 35, somewhere in that range, and then you really have to start hammering on interior offensive line because, Ben Barsh, he's not ready to start day 1. Same thing with Matt Pert. Well, maybe Matt Pert might be ready, but also guys like Prince Tagwinogo, Lucas Niang, even though I really do like Niang. So there's a pretty big drop-off after the big 7 tackles are off the board. So then you really just got to start hammering on interior offensive line. If Cesar Ruiz makes it out of the first round, trade up and go get him. Or Jonah Jackson, specifically scheme fit, would be perfect at left guard. Tyler Biadish is, even though he is a Badger, I do like him as a versatile interior offensive lineman. Can play center, can play the guard spots. Like Cushenberry. I mean, do you put him in a right guard, but also does that mesh up with what you want to do with Drew Samia? Meh. Or Robert Hunt, Nathaniel Moody, just absolute monsters, just physical specimens on the inside, as well as there's a lot like Shane Lemieux, Logan Stenberg, the dude from Clemson. It's late. John Simpson. There's just a lot of really intriguing interior offensive line talent that's going to be available in those mid rounds that would come in and potentially start day 1 right away for the Vikings. Also, draft Nathaniel Moody. I understand, not like a perfect scheme fit. Probably, but just if the dude stays healthy, if the dude, again, you have a 300-pound guy who we're just hoping that his foot issues are behind him, right? That's a big ask. But, man, if he's healthy, he is Quentin Nelson adjacent. He is certainly up there. So at 58, second round, why not gamble? Who doesn't like to gamble a little bit? Also, Vikings need to have drafted 2 offensive linemen by the time day 2 is over. So that means the 2 first-round picks and 58. 2 of them should be offensive. Actually, no. Day 2. So 1, 2, 3. So you have 5 picks, 5 in the top 105. At least 2 of them have to be offensive linemen. You have to come out of day 2 with at least 2 starting caliber offensive linemen. Or you get Caesar Weeze, you put him in at left guard, or Jonah Jackson, put him in at left guard, and then you get your tackle project. That's when you get the Prince Tagovailoa. That's when you get the Ben Barsh. That's when you get the Matt Peart, etc. So has to be 2. Like, if it's 1 and if it's a project, I'm out. You have to come away with at least 1 starting caliber offensive lineman for out of day 1, day 2. Ideally, you have 2 bodies in the building. Speaking of day 2, so there are some nice defensive interior guys. We just talked about Mike Florio's only mock draft. So Roquan Davis was to the Vikings 25. Woof. Oh my God. Where, I mean, I would prefer a bunch of other defensive interior guys over Roquan Davis, and I see him as like a late day 2 pick, but at 25, that's atrocious. It is. But in terms of day 2 guys, like 3 techs, Jordan Elliott from Missouri, I love. Justin Matabuke from Texas A&M. Vikings done a ton of work on him. Justin Blacklock coming out of TCU. Neville Gallimore, the Canadian, coming out of Oklahoma. Telvin Agim, teammate of God, I always forget his name. He's amazing. Armand Watts. God, it's late. As well as Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown's running mate there at Auburn, as well as nose tackle Devon Hamilton from Ohio State, Lucky Fodu from Utah, as well as Pennicini from Utah. It's weird. Yeah, they have 2 guys that on the defensive interior that project as nose tackles in the league. That's just, they got size up there in the mountains, as well as Bravion Roy from Baylor. I mean, plus James Lynch. He played edge in college. I don't think that he's going to be an every down edge in the NFL, but he sort of reminds me of Anthony Zettel, like a little bit better version of Anthony Zettel, where, okay, is he going to play inside? Is he going to play outside? Is he going to play 5 tech in a 3-4? I don't know. He could do all those things. I just know I want James Lynch. I mean, once a James Lynch and Anthony Zettel get into camp, it'll be like the Spider-Man meme. It's like, ow, heart and hustle guy. What's going on? Lastly, so wrapping up with guys I'm standing on the table for, and this is a bit scattershot. This is a bit of all rounds, all positions, whatever. So Andrew Thomas, if teams overthink it and they go Becton and they go the other Wills and Wirfs who obviously deserve to be up there, but if Andrew Thomas somehow falls past 15, go get him. Go get him. Like, very, very unlikely, but go get him. Jalen Johnson, Hefe Gladney, the 2 cornerbacks I like. We've explained that there's a second-tier cornerbacks behind Jeff Okudah, behind C.J. Henderson, and we put Christian Fulton, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Rieger, as well. Not Jalen Rieger, Jeff Gladney, as well as. Actually, Jalen Rieger could probably be a decent cornerback. Just give it time. As well as A.J. Terrell. I just give the nod to Jalen and Gladney just because of the alpha dogness, just because of the physicalness, where I prioritize man over zone, where you can teach a cornerback zone. You necessarily can't teach a cornerback man. Like, they have to have innate physical tools, a little bit of instinctive play to be able to do that, especially more press man as opposed to off man. So that's why I like Gladney. That's why I like Jalen Johnson. I mean, as long as that labrum checked out, which again was tough to do medical rechecks during the Rona, but yeah. Jalen Rieger, the wide receiver at TCU, just the explosiveness, just the full route tree, just everything about the kid, as well as in the return game, I just really love. I mean, you can put Brandon Ike in there as well. I wouldn't be mad at you. I'm standing on the table for Ezra Cleveland, Jonah Jackson, as well as Nick Harris, the center from Washington. So if the Vikings went Ezra Cleveland 25, if they Jonah Jackson at either 58 or 89, whatever, or and then get Nick Harris in the 5th round, like, those are 3 perfect zone scheme fits. Left tackle, left guard, utility into your offensive lineman, and you've solved the offensive line problem. Or at least you've got bodies that fit what Kubiak wants to do in the building. So maybe it's not solved, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. Antoine Winfield Jr., I love as well, because not only are you getting a safety, you're also getting some cornerback, you're getting some slot help. I think he really is a do-it-all guy. And again, he is one of those health issue guys where, is he past those injuries that took away 2 of his college seasons? if he is, I mean, he could easily vault into a top 10 safety in the league pretty quickly. James Prochet, just the absolute catching machine from SMU. Pony Express, baby. Let's go. He's not the most fleet of foot, but he is a very solid route runner. He does get open underneath. He just really has this nice innate ability where if you have guys that are good receivers that aren't the most twitched up guys in the world, they just find ways to get open. They just find ways to get it done otherwise. That's the same thing with Tyler Johnson. I'm standing on the table for it. Like, if the Vikings completely bailed out on wide receiver day 1, day 2, and then they went with Tyler Johnson, James Prochet in 4 and 5, I mean, who's going to be upset by that? No one. You shouldn't be. J.J. Taylor out of Arizona. I love this kid. We're just a mini spark plug, just Austin Eckler, Darren Sproles, Danny Woodhead type receiving scat back. Also, like, he can bring the wood. Like, he is a little bit more stout than you would think, but he's what people want a Javid Best to be, and the fact that he's going to go late day 3, I think that's a lot of value. Levante Bellamy out of Western Michigan. In terms of a running back who's run a ton of zone, whether inside, outside zone, perfectly patient, knows how to set up blocks, knows to where and how to check his keys. I mean, he would be a guy that would come in, would surprise a lot of people. Honestly, if he landed with the Vikings, or if he landed in San Francisco, or if he landed in another zone heavy, or maybe if he landed in Green Bay, if he just landed in another heavy zone running team, I mean, he could be like a shocking 1,000-yard rusher within 3 years. I really believe that much about Levante Bellamy. Let's see here. Mason Fine, quarterback, North Texas. Dude just has it. Antonio Gibson, where he's a jack of all trades. He's not really a running back, although people project him to be a running back, but just a bit of a utility wide receiver in the way that Colorado used Laviska as well. But Gibson in the return game, pretty damn sick. Jordan Elliott from Mizzou. I just love how he penetrates. I just love how he is very disruptive in the backfield, just really, really quick. Not as good of a first step as Sharif Floyd back in the day, but he would give the Vikings, the best 3-tech rushing option that they've had since Sheldon left, as well as since Sharif. So sad, just so sad. Travis Gibson. So like I said, I'm much more about giving Andre Patterson just like a freak athlete project in the mid to late rounds, as opposed to going after edge early. Travis Gibson out of Tulsa checks all those boxes. James Lynch, like we said, out of Baylor, heart and hustle guy. Don't know where he's going to play, but I just want him on my team, as well as the last one. So Malcolm Perry, the quarterback on the Navy, just a do-it-all guy. Will play some special teams, can return some kicks, play wide receiver, play running back, play gadget quarterback, put him some Taysom Hill stuff in there for him, where you just have an amazingly gifted athlete, as well as a great leader, man-of-high character. You saw that the Vikings do have a tie with some of the academy guys with drafting Austin Cutting last year. If the Vikings, I mean, they have 3 7th rounders. They'll probably have 7 by the time we're done here. Spend a 1 on Malcolm Perry and let him live his NFL dream. Let him try and go the Keenan Reynolds route, and I think he would be a really fun utility piece for the Vikings. But that's it. Those are random, sort of just emptying the brain, last minute effort NFL draft thoughts. Agree, disagree, whatever. Let us know in the comment section below. What are your final draft thoughts as well? Plus, if you want to support the work, below some in the Venmo. Plus, give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skol, production value.